We have an argument, and our emotions are spiked high. We're both really angry. We're both super pissed off at each other. We're button heads. Until I'm ready to take full responsibility for what I fucked up, and she's ready to take full responsibility for how she fucked up, and have a conversation where I go in saying, I fucked up X, Y, and Z, and I never say, you fucked up this, and she does the same, we don't have that conversation. We're not ready for that conversation. The emotion is still too high for us to be able to take accountability. There's never pointing the finger. And it's so annoying. It's so annoying.
Because you want to point the finger so bad, but you know you don't have to because you guys both have an understanding of where you fucked up. Therefore, you don't need to point the finger, even though you really want to.
And it's ironic because, once I start taking accountability, she starts taking accountability. Once I stop pointing the finger at her and start pointing it at myself, she does the same thing, and that's when things get better.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode number 68 of the Conscious Cast. I'm your host, Cal, along with my other boy, Mr. Jason Scalora. Now, just before this, we were about to film an episode about, at least this is where I was going to lead the discussion about balancing two extremes. But as soon as we were about to start the episode, my man Jason, so if you guys don't know, where Jason's sitting right to the right of him, there's a soundboard. That's how we, balance out the audio and like have the music playing in the background. We don't actually have a band in the back jamming out.
No, we do.
No, we do. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. Oh, but my man I was like, all right, hit the music. My man, fucking, you want to explain it?
Yeah. So, here's my coffee.
You can see where this is going.
If you could see all the coffee that's spilled around it, it's a little sticky on the side. It's because I spilled it everywhere. I went to press the button to get the thing going, and then I spilled the coffee all over the soundboard and all over the table.
I mean, okay, from my point of view, bro, it looked like a slow motion waterfall. Like when he went, he was going, he whacked it like this. I mean, dude, it was just like when I whacked my iPhone 6 in the toilet, like after I washed my hands, like it was on the side, and I was like, what? And it was like, I just saw the coffee gracefully leave the cup and go all over the soundboard. Conscious Cast Plus. Let's get But yeah, I mean, I think it's a great analogy and way to start this video because, things are going to happen that are out of your control, right? Spontaneous shit is going to happen, and terrible shit is going to happen like that, right? Like, I mean, how did you feel when you first did that? Like, what was your... not like
my initial reaction was I shit my pants because this isn't my exactly. This is my stuff.
Exactly.
If I had paid for it, I think my initial reaction would have been like motherfucker.
yeah.
But it's not mine, so I'm like, fear. I'm like
Yeah.
Did I break it? I didn't.
And yeah. It's still working to our knowledge.
If it's broken later, somebody else did. That's all I'm saying.
Or the coffee that's marinating in there. Will help the soundboard, but it's. I think the way we handled it was incredibly proactive. You know, we weren't just because a lot of people that type of stuff will happen, right? And they'll freeze up. They're like, oh my God, what to do, right? But it's if you can condition yourself to immediately go towards a solution, right? And start cleaning up that mess that's been created, right? You'll find that
that's what you did. I stood here in disbelief.
It's just
I
guess there's a difference though.
Unfolding in front of my face. Granted, if you didn't immediately you're also close to the door, but if you didn't immediately get up, I would have just ran out and grabbed paper towels.
Yeah, exactly. But, I know you would have done the same thing too. I was just like, oh, all right, that was funny as fuck, and I'm gonna go get it. Yeah. I went out to I busted out of the radio room, and kids were like, they're like, bro, you good? I was like, oh yeah, I'm fine. I'm just looking for paper towels. Mayday, we're going down.
Jason nutted. But you know what it makes me think of is I don't know, because I don't want to. Yeah.
You can bounce around it. Describe it vaguely.
Yeah. People grow up with parents a lot. I oftentimes see kids that grew up with parents that are so emotionally reactive, right? And that's what kind of makes me think that you're going to be a great dad, just like yours. Is that... Sorry. Fine.
No, you're good, dude. You're good. He's a great dad.
Yeah.
Love you. See you later, dude. You're still getting milk, right? It's only been like 10 years.
Anyways, that's what makes you think that you're
That's not
gonna
going in, by the way. So.
Thanks. I would certainly hope not. That's what makes me think that you're going to be a great dad because of the way you responded to this. Of like, it seems so trivial, but it's not. Because like I knocked.
What do you mean by trivial? Just want to break that down real quick.
Because it seems so like that doesn't scale to anything.
Yeah.
But it's not. Like that's not the case because, in my estimation, I believe that if most people saw me spill this coffee all over the soundboard, that they would all freak out. Their immediate reaction would be like, "Oh my god!" or "Ah, what are we gonna do?" And like, freaking out. You you can. I don't even. I'm sure you could play the clip of how you reacted. The second it spilled, you just got to be like, "All right, let's do it." Like, it was fine. Like you're good. Yeah. Like you're good. There's no emotional reaction, and like that's one of the things that I'm grateful that my dad did growing up for me. Yeah. Was that I'm just not. I'm like gonna hold.
Dude, imagine we did it again. It was a little side note. One time, it was like when Jason was about to record one of his solo episodes, and he was like, "Bro," he like FaceTimed me, and he banged the fuck out of his knee on his desk, and he FaceTimed me, and he sat back down, and then he banged the fuck out of his knee again. He was like, "Oh my god!"
I sat back down. I did the same thing fucking twice.
Oh, so funny.
There's a bruise on my knee for it.
Holy shit, dude! Damn.
Yeah. Battle scars.
That's hot.
Podcasting. Yeah. Hey. You do what you gotta do, you know?
Stuff out there.
Yeah. But like my dad did the same thing growing up.
Same. It's just so easy, dude.
It is too easy. Like here's a good example. Is when I was growing up, whenever I would miss the bus in the morning, immediately I would go into my room, like into my parents' room, and they'd still be asleep, and I'd wake up my dad and be like, "Dad, we missed the bus," and he would never yell at me.
That's awesome.
He would never flip out. He would never get super angry. Right. So whenever I made a mistake, and it was an actual mistake, and there wasn't any poor intention, I never got negatively I never got punished for that kind of stuff. Like if it was an actual just mistake, you know, like I woke up late by accident, or you know, shit happened, and like just or whatever. Like I fucked up, but it wasn't like there was ill intent. He never got mad. But when there was ill intent, he would get fucking so angry. Yeah. He would get so angry. Like it was polar extremes of like I remember one time when I was younger, I didn't hold the door for this old lady at the bank. And I remember I couldn't use my DS for a month. And at the time,
it felt like an eternity.
Right. And at the time, it was like I remember like all my friends reacting, and all my friends' parents even reacting like, "That's ridiculous. Like that's fucking ridiculous." You know, like a month of, you know, no video games because you didn't hold the door open for a lady for 2 seconds at the bank, you know. But think about what that instilled in me. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And so like maybe was it extreme?
You're gonna hold that door again. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
You know, I never not, you know.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I think his choice of consciously choosing when's the time to emotionally get charged and get pissed off at me and punish me for certain things, and not for other things, really instilled in me like emotional maturity of like, if you spill the coffee on the fucking thing, you don't get angry. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Even if it's a $1,000 piece of equipment. Yeah. If it's a mistake and my intent is pure, then you shouldn't get angry. Yeah. Because when you do get angry, especially as a parent at a child, when you get angry at that child for making a mistake when the child did not have any ill intent to do whatever it is that they had done, then you're going to confuse the fuck out of the kid. Yeah. Because the kid doesn't know the difference between, mistakes are bad, or making bad choices is bad. Yeah. And when you don't know that difference, you're going to be, in my eyes, you're going to be way more inclined to make bad choices. Yeah. Because you're not punished for bad choices. You're punished for mistakes. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's that's huge, because there's a huge difference there, right? Because you, like, hypothetically, like holding the door example, right? Like, you've been taught by your dad, whatever, your culture, whatever, that holding the door is the right thing to do, right? You know it, right? You consciously have that understanding, right? And when you don't do it, that's not necessarily... It is a mistake, right? Because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, but it's worse because you knew you had, like I said before, you had that understanding, you had that You've been aware of the norms.
I knew better.
You knew better. Exactly.
He knew that I knew better.
Exactly. As compared to swiping coffee into a soundboard.
Right.
Like once again, it's you're not coming from a bad place, right? You didn't mean to do it, right? And it's not like you're just like pouring it on the fucking soundboard. You're not trying to like damage the soundboard. But yeah, I think that's a huge distinction to make, because when it comes to when you're teaching someone, even like, or even in general, like I feel like even when someone does have that choice, right? I mean, like, and like we could debate the merits of like having a punishment, like taking your DS away for a month, right? Like, is that really necessary, right? I think something like that, like where you give a punishment for like to that extent for a choice, like for making a wrong choice, can have a lot of value in it, right? Because it like you said before, it instills the right habit and the right mindset within your child. But I think when you make that punishment, right, it's very important in both circumstances to not be emotionally charged, right? Because you'd be like, listen, you didn't hold the door for that person. I hate to say it, but your DS is getting taken away for a month, right? As compared to, you didn't hold the door open for that person. Yeah. I'm going to take it away for a month, right? It's like, because in one circumstance, right, I feel like your kid would be way more accepting and understanding. There might be some backlash there in both circumstances, right? But you'll still be moving more towards a solution by just being calm, right? Remaining like in that level-headed mindset of like not reacting, right? Not becoming emotionally charged, and telling them like, hey, dude, like you made the wrong decision. This is the punishment you're gonna have to deal with. You know the rules. You know how it is, right? As compared to the same type of circumstance where you're just like, you absolute dipshit, right? Like, what the fuck? Because it's going to damage the relationship so much more. And on that basis, that's how you're going to handle interactions like not doing the correct thing or an unintentional incident that happens, So it really, and that's how you habitually handle these situations. And it's going to cause a lot of damage to the relationship, and it's going to cause a lot of bad things to come down the road.
Yeah, I think the key here is focusing on intent.
Yeah.
Because intent really, really
absolutely
matters.
Yep.
Like, above all else, it matters.
Yeah.
Do you know? And Tony Robbins has a quote there, which I think is amazing. He says, you have every right to question the actions of your partner in a relationship. But the second you question their intent, the relationship is over. It's over. Because if you're going to question what your partner's intent is with however you feel, you can't be in a relationship with somebody that you don't believe has good intentions.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think that is, but it's not a relationship. Yeah. It's something transactional.
So, like, okay, this might be kind of like a weird example, but, like, what do you think if someone has, like, just, like, so you're in a relationship, right? You have a very good foundation. Like, you're very emotionally stable, right? It's a very healthy relationship. And you know that, but this person has, like, inherent tendencies that they've developed throughout their early childhood, like, in circumstances where their parents react in a very emotional way. Like, would you still, if they have, like, a habitually, I guess this kind of gets into two areas, but, like, if they have habitually developed the intent to divide, right, to be right, or something like along those lines, right, would you still...
The intent or the habit?
Like the intent is a habit, right? Like it.
No, those are
no, because you decide, like, your immediately response, right? That's your, like, because you can change that intent 100%, right? I'm not saying it's set in stone, right? Because you can change that intent of, like, how you're gonna view the situation, right? Like where the place you're coming from is, right? Because you can develop.
See, sort of. I disagree though. I kind of disagree. I think your intent really doesn't change with somebody. Like, my intent with you is always positive, even if.
Yeah, but like, how did it become positive though?
It's always been positive.
It can become negative, right?
No.
It can be though. Like, I'm not saying in our specific relationship, but I'm saying it can be.
You know what? Actually, yeah. I agree.
I agree. Yeah, that's because, like, what I'm pressing on here is the idea that someone can develop a negative intent, right, over the course of their life through just, like, habitual emotion and not be aware of it, right? And so let's just say you're in a really great relationship. You really love this person. You really love the values, the traits they have, and you see yourself with them for a very long time, right? And then you begin to see that, like, okay, maybe I'm not aware of this intention, and then you start to question that. So my question to you is, like, if you start questioning a habitualized intention, right, that's been developed through childhood and the like, would the relationship still be over at that point? in your opinion? Or like, I don't know, maybe that's a little...
If you start developing bad intentions?
If someone has habitually developed intentions that are like negative, right, and they're not necessarily aware of them, you follow me? Or not really.
Do you have can you give an example?
So if someone, like I said before, at the early childhood, just developed the habitual intention to always be right? Like that's, rather than coming into a situation to develop a solution, right? Like that's, they're having like an objective mindset towards the situation, right?
Yes. Okay. So I get what you're saying.
Because when yes, go ahead.
So in my eyes, intention doesn't get down really into like the specifics of things. Your intentions are either good or they're bad.
Okay.
And so if you've developed the bad habit of always wanting to be right because you have ego issues, but still underneath all of it, you love that person and you want the best for them and you don't want to hurt their feelings, but maybe your emotional immaturity causes them to be hurt. Maybe your lack of whatever causes them to be hurt, but your intention was never, I want this person to be hurt, then that's different.
Okay.
Because it's just two different scenarios.
Yeah.
Because in the case where if you do have negative intentions with somebody, like if your intentions are, I want to argue with you so I can be right.
Yeah.
But that's because I want you to be upset. I want you to feel pain. My intention is negative for you. That's very different than you're feeling pain because I have issues, but my intent was never to make you feel this way. I'm just inadequate in X, Y, and Z.
So the intent goes beyond just...
Right.
The intent applies to the consequences you want that person to feel. Right. And I think,
what do you want?
Yeah, what do you want exactly? Right. And I think what I was focusing on was more so like that back half of it, right? Like it's like the response part, not necessarily the consequences of that part.
And I want to get this straight as well. Your actions over time matter a lot as well. They matter.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
Like if you like rolling with the same example, if you can't get yourself to a point where you don't know how to have a conversation with a disagreement, you can't learn how to not try and be right all the time. You can't accept criticism. You can't accept the fact that you're wrong sometimes. Even if your intentions are good, you can't have a relationship with somebody. You're not ready. You're too emotionally immature. You're not ready. Although your intentions are positive, you're not ready for a relationship. There's too many issues because you haven't resolved whatever it is that you need to resolve within yourself.
So you said regardless of intentions, if you're not emotionally mature, right, in terms of that action, right, you're still not prepared for a relationship, right?
If it's a consistent problem, right? Let's say,
of course, it's like habitualized. Yeah, that's
so
what I'm saying.
Like me and my
that's how you are.
Right, me and my ex-girlfriend Rachel. She rolled with me.
Rachel.
Shout out to Rachel. She rolled with me for a long time, waiting for me like to figure out a bunch of different things. Like a big thing was my tendency to want to prove that I'm right all the time. Yeah. Right? And so I would always try and like whenever there was some sort of little debate, it would never turn to an argument because we were both at a place where we were ready for a relationship, but it always got into like me being like, I'm right. She knew from the start my intention was positive always. I never wanted to hurt her feelings. I never wanted to make her feel stupid. I never wanted her to feel pain. My intention was always positive. But my actions were a little fucked up because I was immature, I was stupid, I was inadequate in areas X, Y, and Z. And that's fine for the time being. But with that in mind, that intention isn't enough. I needed to change my actions over time. So to summarize it, intention is enough. No, intention is necessary, but not enough. Intention is necessary, but not enough. And intention, understanding someone's intention is enough to get you through a little bit of waiting for them to change their actions.
Yeah.
And waiting for them to fix their inadequacies.
100%.
But it's not sufficient to... Intention is enough to... Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Intention is sufficient enough, right? But it's not... It's necessary, but it's not enough.
Understanding somebody's... I'm kind of butchering this, but understanding somebody's intention should help you get through the grace period of necessary time needed for somebody to make the change that they need to
100%.
make. But that doesn't mean you should wait around forever to someone to change your tendencies, right? So like, a good example is like
a drug addict.
Right, yeah, I was gonna say an alcoholic.
Yeah.
If you're dating somebody who's an alcoholic and it causes an array of issues with you, but you know deep down that their intentions are pure, their intentions are necessary. It's necessary to know that their intentions are positive, but those intentions are not enough. Understanding those intentions should give you a grace period of, you know what? I know you love me.
This person.
I know you love me. I know you mean well. I know that this is all fucked up and you're abusive and this is terrible, but your intentions are not to abuse me and to make my life terrible, and I understand that. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time to fix your shit, but I'm not going to give you forever.
Yeah.
So that's where it gets a little gray.
Yeah.
But
sure.
That's kind of where I kind of stand.
No, dude, and I 100% agree with you, because if let's just say there's a drug addict, right, and like, you know, they're coming from a good place, like, you know, they want to get better, right, but they develop, like, this is just what we were talking about before,
right? They
develop these habits and behaviors early on in their life that have led to them to live a lifestyle that they're living right now, but they want to get, they don't want, like, let's just say they're doing coke, right? They want to stop doing coke, right? Like, maybe they're getting rehab, maybe they're doing all these things, maybe they're going on like little relapses, right? Like ups and downs, right? And they just keep on going, and like, but that intention is what allows, let's say they have a partner, right? That intention allows them having an understanding of that, of the drug addict's intention, allows them, like you said, to have that grace period, or it allows them to keep that bond going. So it's enough, right? But in order to solidify that bond, right? Like, there's a little hole in that bond, right? In order to solidify that bond, right? That drug addict needs to stop doing drugs, right? In order for that bond to close, right? And so it really does come down to, like, where are you, like, what intention do you have, right? And then how are you going to align habits, your own actions, right, to develop habits and behaviors that are in alignment with that intention to, I guess, satisfy whatever aim you're aiming towards. Maybe in a relationship, maybe it be just in a relationship, or just any interaction or communication in general, right? It's not just isolated to a relationship. And yeah, I really like that idea of, like, intention is necessary, but it's not good enough. I really like that.
Yeah. And for me, it's like, once you understand, first of all, you can feel intention. Like, that's, like, not even something you don't need to teach that. Yeah. You don't need to try and be like, well, do I? No, you know. You just know, right? Yeah. When you walk around the streets of New York, for example, and people walk up to you and try and sell you something.
Yeah.
You know if somebody has good intentions or bad. Yeah. You know if they're just trying to get your money, and you know if they're actually trying to help you make your life better. You can tell. Yeah. There's not, like, you don't have that gut feeling of, like, something's a little off, you know? Yeah. Like, you'll have that feeling. Like, you're a human being, you'll get that. But when you're emotionally immature, you no longer factor in the whole intent thing. Because when you don't have that maturity, now you're in a spot where you flip out because somebody made a mistake. You flip out because they said X, Y, and Z. Yeah. You flip out when they fuck up here and there. You flip out over stupid little things because you don't have, it's almost like a grace period in your head of, like, being able to remember and understand somebody's intent. Yeah. When I was making all those vegan jokes, you understood my intent throughout that whole process of, like, yes, I'm making jokes about veganism, and you understand that, like, I completely support you on your decisions, but that I'm making jokes out of, not from a place of I want you to feel pain, not from a place of just I want to put you down, not from a place of I want to make myself feel superior or any sort of just negative intentions. Yeah. So the way that you approached me when you had a problem with the jokes was positive. Yeah. There wasn't a bullshit argument. Yeah. There was no beef in the air. Like, you didn't. Jesus Christ.
Just put it behind you, dude.
I don't want to finish it because it's, like, not that good, but I'm too afraid to set it down. Sorry.
You want to put it over here?
No, I want to, like. Anyways, but you didn't question my intent. It doesn't happen. But that's because you're emotionally mature.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yep.
And if I did have bad intentions, ironically, you probably wouldn't have even said anything. You probably would just have let it go and not had a conversation with me about it.
Yeah.
Or whoever it was about it. If it's me, it's different.
Yeah, of
because
course.
because it's me.
Yeah.
And like we're friends. But like
Right.
if it's some random person, you're not gonna indulge in it. But that's also because you're emotionally mature.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think too, just like, because when I think you brought up a really interesting point, because when two people are both emotionally immature and it's just this fucking wildfire of just like emotional backlash after emotional backlash, right? And the flames only seem to get like higher, right? And in order for them to reach a solution, either one of them has to be right and one of them constantly always has to be wrong, right? There's no healing there, right? There's no acceptance, right? Like, okay, yeah, you're right, you're wrong, okay? Like, yeah, like, but they'll hold that grudge over people, right? They'll hold that like, oh, I won, right? And you're a loser, right? And there's constant separation, right? There's no oneness, right? And so rather than, and we talk about this all the time, right? Rather than us staying divided, right? When we see each other's intentions and we know we're coming from a good place, right? We come together and we move towards one solution, right? We're a collective rather than separate. So people in a relationship, right, that are very emotionally immature, they're actually, in my opinion, they're not really in a relationship, right?
They're not.
Maybe they spend a lot of time together. Maybe they spend a lot of time having eye contact, right? And other bodily sensations and physical contact. But like they're not in a relationship, right? Because they're not one. They're separate, right? And on that basis, they just constantly move in separate directions each and every time. But the reason they stay together is because maybe of that internal insecurity of maybe being single, of maybe just, wanting a relationship, wanting that physical contact, which is like a natural human instinct, and I totally get. But it's almost as though if you're emotionally immature, right, and you just constantly place, all you look at is the actions, right? All you like, why did they do that? Why did they do, And it's like, you don't know if they're coming from a good place, right? You don't know if you don't even take that into consideration, right? Like, it's almost as though like you're just asleep, right? From the intention part of it, 100%. Right? And you're missing at least, I'd say, a solid 50% of what's going on, which makes you develop a very distorted perception of the situation you're in.
100%. Like, think about it in like almost like a sports mindset perspective. If you are in a relationship with somebody and you're not on the same team, then there's a scoreboard. You're keeping score. Oh, I won this argument. And then she backlashes here. Yeah. And then you're sleeping on the couch. And then you're texting your ex. And then you have all these fucking points that you're keeping. Yeah. Rather than, oh, no, actually, every time you and I have a problem, we're on the same fucking team. Yeah. We disagree. That's how the problem arose. We disagree. So it seems like we're on opposite ends. But in reality, you're on the same fucking team. Yeah. If you win the debate and they're pissed off because they lost and they feel like, bottom tier human being because, you defeated them all nicely and now they feel like shit and now one of you sleeping on the couch and you're having an argument. Did you win? Did you win?
Yeah, exactly. We talked about that.
That's your teammate.
Yeah.
That's your teammate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like the way that I look at that is the same way I look at sports teams when you see people on the same team fighting with each other. It's so distasteful. Yeah. There's something that's just so incredibly like inherently wrong with that. And you know that. And like you can even see two teams going at it. Like hockey is a good example of people fighting in opposite teams. And you're like, you know what? Like, although maybe I don't support them completely fighting, you get it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They're not on the same team. Yeah. But when you see two teammates fighting with each other hard, that's just, there's some strong distaste that we all feel when we see that. That's the same way I view relationships. Because if you have an issue, if there's some bullshit that's going on, and now you make it me against you, rather you and I against the problem, nobody wins. Yeah. Nobody wins. Because now you're fighting somebody. Yeah. And you don't have help. And that comes from questioning intent. That comes from consistently being stupid and not fixing the problems that you have within yourself. That comes from not taking responsibility and accountability for every issue that comes up. There's tons of different ways to go about it. But the ultimate thing is, are you on the same team or are you not? Because if you're in a relationship and you consistently have problems, but the problems are never resolved because it's you versus them and not you two versus the problem, you're going to stay in the same exact spot you're in, and things are going to get worse.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Yeah, it's so true, because when we have these malicious intents and we're not even aware of them, right? Why we have them, right? Like why do I want to be right? Like why do I want to be so superior to this person?
Just to cut you off, real quick.
Go for it.
I think it's important to understand that like there's a lot of times where even though you're making the same mistake over and 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 over again, you might still have good intentions. You're just an idiot. You're just an idiot sometimes.
So repeat that one more time.
Just because you make the same mistakes over and over and over again doesn't mean that you have bad intentions.
It means you have bad habits, right?
Yes, it just means you have a bad habit. It just means you're too stupid to fix your own problems.
Yeah. So you're physically wired in a certain way. Exactly. And especially when it comes to circumstances like that, like when it comes to arguments and stuff like that, like people are very much physically wired to respond in like a heated way, right? Like to respond in a way that wants them to be right, even though deep down, my friend tells me this all the time, and if you're watching this, I love you. That like him and his girlfriend will get into like a little bit of a argument, like the scales will be tipped, right? And he's like he tells me like he's like I know it's bad right now, right? Because like we're in a different spot, and like he's like, but even though we're kind of at a distance, I know over time her perception of what's going on will begin to fade, and she'll develop a more clear understanding of what's going on, and then so even though something, I think this is a big thing too, like separating yourself right when that like heated shit comes up, because like if you could stay conscious of that, right, be like, oh my god, like I want to fucking punch you right now, right? Like, or just not literally, but like figuratively, but like if you can get past that initial like wave of, I guess you could say, appearance that like makes you want to just be superior to this person, and then you can come back to the issue right when you're have a better understanding of what's going on, right? You've reflected, you've let the emotions subside. Then you can, once again, really come back onto the same page and realize that you guys are really on the same team, right? And if you need to part ways, right, you can, right? Or something along those lines, right? 100%. Or something to change needs to be made or whatever.
Right, yeah. It's like the good rule of thumb that I used, especially when Rachel and I were together, was until I'm in a position and she's in a position where we're only like, we have an argument or we have a debate or some shit hits a fan and our emotions are spiked high. We're both really angry. We're both super pissed off at each other. We're button heads. Until I'm ready to take full responsibility for what I fucked up, and she's ready to take full responsibility for how she fucked up, and have a conversation where I go in saying, I fucked up X, Y, and Z, and I never say, you fucked up this, and she does the same, we don't have that conversation. We're not ready for that conversation. The emotion is still too high for us to be able to take accountability. There's never pointing the finger. Never. And it's so annoying. It's so annoying. It's because
like, you want to point the finger so bad.
Especially for somebody like me, a stubborn little fucking Italian little shit that it just always, you just feel this need. I have this such strong desire to be right. I'm so competitive and stubborn of like that emotional strength of me wanting to be right.
Real quick. So you don't want to point so you want to point the finger, right? But you don't have to, because you have an understanding of where, because like you guys both have an understanding of where you fucked up. Therefore, you don't need to point the finger, right? Even though you really want to, right?
And that's the thing. It's ironic. It's ironic because once I start taking accountability, she starts taking accountability.
Exactly.
Once I stop pointing the finger at her and start pointing it at myself, she does the same thing, and that's when things get better.
Turn it this way.
Right. You stop pointing index fingers, you start pointing thumbs. Because you start taking responsibility for where you fucked up. Because that's the only thing that you can actually fix. I can't fix you. So what's the point of me bitching about you? There's no point. If there's actual constructive criticism in it, sure.
Exactly.
But if you're heated, it's not the time to give constructive criticism.
Yep.
And here's the reason why. And this actually came up with me the other week. I had a big problem with with a couple of the kids on my soccer team. You know, we had to cancel a game, an away game, and I was super upset that that we couldn't go, whatever. I was super angry about it. And in the heat of the moment, I sent a text message to one of the players. And what I said wasn't horrible and nasty, but it was flavored with saltiness and anger. It was flavored that way. The message that I had wanted to send to this person was still the same message. Like, it didn't change. I had decided after this whole thing had happened that he needed to know this because it's important for this message to get across, but I shouldn't have sent it at that time because at that time I was in an emotional state that was not ready to send that message. And so it was flavored in a way, and it's like putting seasoning on something that you didn't want the seasoning to be.
Yeah.
When they have the food, you just want them to have the chicken, but now they have the spice. And they're like, "Oh God, this is like spicy and I hate it." And then they're pissed off too. And that's how shit can snowball. So like until you're ready to have that conversation, you need to give yourself that time.
Yeah, because like I guess in that analogy, right, like the shitty seasoning of the chicken will wear off, right? It's like, yeah, that other layer that's on top won't be there, right? And it's like it's so important too.
Even if the chicken's perfectly cooked, they're not gonna care. No one's gonna like the chicken.
Yeah.
Even if it's even if the message, which I believe in my perspective, even though he disagreed, whatever, like it's fine. Like although the message was pure and the criticism was necessary, in my perspective, no one's going to hear me out because I'm giving it in a perspective of I'm salty, I'm upset. And that's because of my own inadequacies. I'm salty and I'm upset because I don't get to play soccer today. I'm salty and I'm upset because I had to go spend all this time figuring out all this stuff to make things happen. So ultimately, I'm upset because I had some expectation that life was supposed to be a certain way, which is my fault still.
Yeah.
And so I flavored that message in a way of I'm upset because woe is me, rather than waiting for me to no longer be pissed off and delivering the message in a way where it's going to be received. Would you like to?
All right, hit the music. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that has been epic. You can't make this shit up. What happened?
I just spilled the fucking coffee again.
We started with the coffee spilling, and we're gonna finish with the coffee spilling. So yeah, guys, make sure you. Hope you enjoyed this episode of The Conscious Cast. I'm your host, Cal. Where can they find you, my man?
Jason Scalora.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Love yourself because I love you.
Stay handsome.
And we're clocking out, people. Peace.